You've been doing this wrong your entire life. For years, you've trusted that your UK state pension payments will land safely in your bank account, month after month. You've built your retirement plans around it, and you've relied on that money to cover your bills, groceries, and daily essentials. But what if I told you that this system is about to change in a way that could seriously impact your finances? The Department for Work and Pensions, DWP, is making critical adjustments, and if you're not paying attention, you could be one of the thousands of pensioners left struggling. New banking policies, upcoming April 2025 reforms, and strict account verification checks could mean delays, disruptions, or even stopped payments if you fail to act in time. This isn't speculation, it's happening. For decades, pensioners like you have assumed that once your state pension is set up, it's secure for life. But times have changed, and so have the rules. If you don't adapt, you could find yourself waking up one morning, checking your bank account, and realizing your expected pension payment isn't there. Imagine the stress, the panic, the uncertainty. The worst part? Many seniors won't realize what's coming until it's too late. The DWP has quietly introduced stricter monitoring on accounts receiving pension payments, meaning if your bank details are outdated, if your account has issues, or if you miss key notices, you could be left without your pension for weeks or longer. Don't let this happen to you. In this video, I'll break down exactly what's changing, how to protect your payments, and the urgent steps you need to take to avoid pension disruption in 2025. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Hit that like button, subscribe, and let's get into it, before it's too late. Alright, let's get straight into it. The UK government is making changes that could impact the way your state pension reaches your bank account, and many pensioners have no idea what's coming. You've worked hard all your life, paid into the system, and now you expect your pension to arrive as usual. But what if I told you that, come April 2025, a new set of banking regulations and DWP policies could interfere with that? If you're not prepared, you could find yourself waiting for a payment that never comes. Now, let's break this down. The Department for Work and Pensions, DWP, is tightening its policies, and that means stricter rules around verifying pension payments. While the government claims this is about fraud prevention and financial security, what it really means for pensioners is extra scrutiny on their bank accounts. If your details aren't up to date or your bank doesn't meet the new verification standards, your payments could be delayed or even stopped. Imagine waking up one morning, expecting your pension money to be in your account, only to find that it hasn't arrived. You call your bank, they tell you to check with the DWP, and before you know it, you're caught in a frustrating loop with no clear answer. And here's where it gets even trickier: many pensioners are completely unaware of this upcoming change. The government hasn't exactly been shouting it from the rooftops. Instead, small notices are being issued here and there, tucked away in letters or quietly updated online. If you're not actively checking, it's easy to miss. That's why it's so important to take action now before you find yourself in a financial bind come April next year. One of the biggest concerns surrounding this policy change is how it affects older pensioners who aren't as comfortable with digital banking. Many seniors still rely on traditional bank branches, paper statements, and direct deposits, but the system is shifting towards more automated, digital verifications. The DWP will be cross-checking bank details more frequently, flagging accounts that don't meet their security standards. This means if you haven't updated your bank details in years, you might be at risk. The same goes for pensioners who've recently switched banks, changed account numbers, or even moved to a different address. Even a small mismatch in your records could lead to delayed payments. And let's talk about another major issue here: the rise of fraud prevention measures. While security is important, many pensioners have already experienced the nightmare of their accounts being frozen due to overly cautious fraud checks. Imagine having your pension withheld because an automated system wrongly flags your account as suspicious. Banks and government departments often take weeks to resolve these issues, and during that time, you could be left struggling to cover basic expenses like rent, utilities, and groceries. The problem is that banks and the DWP don't always communicate effectively. If your bank updates its policies and your account no longer meets the DWP's verification requirements, you might not even be notified in time. Some pensioners have already reported issues with similar checks in previous years, and the frustration of dealing with both your bank and the DWP can be overwhelming. You'll be bounced back and forth between phone calls, waiting on hold for hours, only to hear different answers from different people. Meanwhile, your pension money is still sitting in limbo. So, what should you do to avoid these potential issues? First, check your bank details today. Make sure your account is in good standing, and if you've changed banks or addresses recently, update your records with the DWP as soon as possible. Even if nothing has changed, it's worth confirming that your details are correct and that your bank meets the latest DWP security requirements. It's better to be safe than sorry. Second, keep an eye out for any letters, emails, or messages from the DWP regarding your pension payments. If they request any verification or ask you to confirm your details, don't ignore it. Some pensioners have lost payment simply because they missed a letter asking them to verify their information. If you're unsure whether a message is legitimate, contact the DWP directly to check. Another thing to consider is having a backup plan. If your pension payment is delayed, do you have enough savings to cover your expenses for a few weeks? Many pensioners live on fixed incomes, and even a short delay in payments can cause serious financial stress. If you have a trusted family member who can help in an emergency, now might be the time to discuss a safety plan with them. And here's something else that's worth mentioning: some banks are quieter than others when it comes to warning customers about potential issues. Not all financial institutions will proactively tell you if your account has been flagged for further verification, which means you might not find out until it's too late. That's why it's smart to call your bank and ask specifically about DWP verification checks. Get ahead of the problem before it disrupts your payments. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture here. While the DWP insists these changes are meant to make the system more secure, it's clear that pensioners are the ones most at risk of being inconvenienced. If you've been receiving your pension for years without issue, why should you suddenly have to jump through hoops just to keep getting what you owed? It's frustrating, and unfortunately, it's a sign of the times. Governments are prioritizing bureaucracy over the real-life impact on the people who rely on these payments. One of the most frustrating aspects of this whole situation is that there doesn't seem to be much consideration for how this affects seniors who aren't as tech-savvy. Not everyone is comfortable navigating online banking, setting up email notifications, or verifying details through an app. Yet, the system is moving in that direction, and those who struggle with technology are the ones most at risk of falling through the cracks. If you or someone you know isn't comfortable with online banking, now is the time to seek help from a trusted friend, family member, or even a local community group. Don't wait until your payments are disrupted to start figuring things out. If necessary, visit your bank in person and ask them to walk you through the process of updating your details. The most important takeaway from all of this is not to assume that everything will work out on its own. These changes are coming, and if you don't take action now, you could find yourself dealing with unnecessary stress and financial trouble. The last thing you need in your retirement is to be fighting with banks and government departments just to get the money you're entitled to. So, to wrap this up, check your bank details, stay alert for any DWP communication, and don't hesitate to reach out for help if you need it. These changes may be frustrating, but by taking a few simple steps now, you can protect your pension payments and avoid unnecessary headaches in 2025. And if you found this information helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with other pensioners who need to hear it. Let's make sure no one gets caught off guard by these changes. Stay informed, stay prepared, and I'll see you in the next video.